Freya, where we take a deep dive into all the facilities and services which are available for transgender people. My name is Paras Dogra, and I will be your host for today. So today we have Trishala and Freya from Perifery. Most of the time, as transgender, we have we unfortunately it is very difficult to find an inclusive job where we don't get misgendered, we don't get misgendered by other people, and we get the same respect like other people, and not get harassed and all. So an inclusive workplace is a mandatory requirement for all transgender people, but most of the time we don't get it. So this is where Perifery steps in. Perifery is an organization which passionately works towards transgender people and finding trainings, inclusive trainings, and inclusive workplaces for transgender people. An introduction to today's guests. Trishala is a training partnership associate at Perifery, and Freya is a technical support associate at HP, who got this placement through Perifery's Revive program. Welcome, Freya and Trishala, and how are you doing? Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi. Uh,
Hi.
yeah, I'm Freya, and I grew up in Kolkata, so that's where I'm from. And I got a job through Perifery itself in the month of April when I got done with my Revive training. So that's it. And I think you've already introduced me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's move to Trishala. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Paris, for having us here. I'm Trishala. I'm working with Perifery as a training and partnerships associate, and I've been associated with Perifery for over 3 years now. And yeah, so it's been quite a journey for me, and I'm extremely excited to be here today. So yeah, I look forward to the discussion. Thank
It
you.
is really amazing. Like, I'm really proud of you, the work you are doing and everything. And we are so glad to have you both, Freya and Trishala, here. So let's get started with the questions, shall we? So this is the first question is for Trishala. What is Perifery and what are your services?
So, Periphery is a social impact organization. So, the word periphery itself is derived from the word peripheral, which means the edge. So going by our name, we'd like to ferry the community from the fringes of the society and bring them to the mainstream inclusive society. So that's the explanation behind our name itself. And so we only serve the transgender community, and so the services that we provide to them are free of cost. We don't charge anything from the community. We provide services such as upskilling and also inclusive placements. And if we have any entrepreneurs who'd like to start their own businesses, we also guide them with mentorship as well. So, very briefly, this is what we do for the community. And for the corporates, we host sensitization programs, we facilitate inclusive placements, and we do a lot of employee engagement activities. So, kind of opening the door for them to interact with the community and understand them better. So, that's briefly what we do for us.
Really amazing work. I mean, the work you do, I actually know Periphery for a very long time, and I myself, I think I applied for a training, but then it was too far and I just dropped it. But yeah, I know I'm associated with Periphery for a very long time, and I know the work you're doing is just absolutely amazing, because even to this day it's very difficult, like even in this year it's very difficult as transgender people for to find an inclusive workspace. Even like we are in 2022, about to be in 2023, people still can't accept us, which is like, it's really heartbreaking. And finding an inclusive workplace is a very difficult part for us transgender people. And I'm matlab, hats off to your organization, hats off to Perifery. The work you're doing is absolutely amazing. I don't have any words. I don't know how to define this.
Thank you, Paras.
So
Means a lot.
my pleasure. So the next question is for Freya. So, first of all, a hearty congratulations from our team for getting a placement as a technical support associate at HP. And would you like to give some insights to your journey for getting this lovely job? Like, whom did you contact first, and how was the recruitment procedure from your perspective?
So at the time, I was just in my sixth semester of college. I was not done with college yet, and I desperately needed a job. So a friend of mine mentioned that there's this organization called Perifery in Chennai that helps trans people find jobs, and of course that captivated me enough, and I just contacted Perifery through the website form that was available. I did not manage to do a lot of research. I like as to what Perifery really did or what the background of the company was. I just knew that I desperately needed a job and I filled up the form. And after filling up the form, I wasn't expecting much, honestly. But then a couple of weeks later, I get a call, and I thought that, the recruitment process would be that, oh, yeah, we're going to help you find a job. But then I get to know that there's a 2 month revive training that I'm going to have to attend. So I did. Again, I decided to just pack my bags up and leave and come for revive training. I did not know in back then exactly like what I was going in for, but I'm glad that I did because it proved out to be worth it. So I came here at Perifery, and it was amazing. And I think these 2 months worth of training with Perifery was so important, because in these 2 months it almost felt like I was living life for the first time. That's what Transcend is, which I think we're going to talk about it later, the Transcend program that Perifery hosts. So I was with them for 2 months during the training, and I started crying about how I just needed a job like ASAP after the training, and I did not want to go back to my hometown. And Perifery helped me with that as well. I was placed. I was sitting for interviews right towards the last week of the training, and I sat for interviews, and luckily I got into HP. And then it was just a path of independence for me. So that was it.
I am so proud of you. Like, so far you have come. And yeah, obviously, trainings are for us transgender people, trainings, jobs are really important. Because the thing is, we have to move away from a families which don't accept us. And then we have to, everything is just forced on us. We have to be independent. We have to live alone. All of a sudden, we have to be independent. So these trainings and jobs are really important to us as transgender people. And I am like, Freya, I'm so proud of you, how far you have come. And really, these trainings are really good and really impactful for us in the transgender community. And that's it. I'm like very proud of you and the work, the so far you have come. And like, I would wish you for best for the future and keep on growing like this.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so the next question is for Trishala. Would you like to shed some light on Periphery's recent project, Revive?
Sure, Paras. So, Revive was actually started back in July. And so, Revive is a one of a kind program where we fully focus on upskilling the transgender community. And Transin is so both Revive and Transin, are very much they work together. So Transin is actually a residential training setup that we have right now in Bangalore, and so we batch on batch trainings that happen, and each will have anywhere between 20 to 25 people. And so we do trainings on digital literacy, communication, soft skills, life skills. So a more generic training is what we do. Apart from that, we also partner with corporates if they want us to train the community in certain skills, let's say tech-related skills, programming as such. We also do that. So we predominantly try and do more of a physical training, but if in case that's not possible, we still facilitate online trainings as well. So that's what Revive is about. And Revive is fully funded by corporates itself. We function through their CSR programs. So yes.
That is really good. I mean, again, I'm saying these trainings are very important, and this work, what you're doing, is really, really important for us transgender people. And yet again, I have no words. I'll keep on praising Perifery, but yeah, your work is amazing, and these it's all well organized, how we are going to everything is well arranged, and that is the most important part of how we manage these things. And really everything is well thought of, everything has been well prepared. And kudos to Perifery for all these getting everything ready for this, for like we have, like you have a solution for every issue. So that is
We try.
actually amazing.
We try to do our best. Thank you. And it
My
has taken a
pleasure.
while.
I can understand.
So yeah.
So, moving on to Freya, would you like to share your coming out story with us? And how was it for you? How was your coming out journey for you?
Uh, well, I don't know from where to begin actually, because it was the whole thing was very gradual. It, of course, started with, you know, me acknowledging that I'm trans, and then slowly speaking to my friends about it, that, this is who I could be. And for the longest time, I was not even aware of the term transgender. I I just knew that, I was a girl, but there was something wrong with me. That was it. And the first step was most definitely the acknowledgement. The second step was major depression and being scared of male puberty, since I was assigned male at birth. Yeah, I would just like lock myself in the room, not speak to anybody, be in my bed, cry all day. And there was this one time when blood was spilling like from under my door, because yeah, because I tried to commit suicide. And my mom saw that, and she wouldn't leave the room after that. And I I didn't know what to say, and I just like hid my face in her bosom, and I just told her that, see, this is who I am. I am a girl, and I just told her that, and she was shook. After that, a lot of crying and breakdowns took place. It was not a fun thing to watch. And then I started researching about some NGOs within my hometown itself. And I decided to take my mom to some of these places. And in these NGOs, people would talk to my mom. My mom would go through this dilemma, whether this like if this is the right thing to do, if I should support her or if I should just push her into conversion or something like that. And she had like a yes and no and yes and no sort of a phase for a very long time. And then we were recommended into a government hospital in my hometown itself. And we decided to go there. A lot of therapy was involved, and all this happened without any of my other family members knowing. It was just me and my mom doing all of this on the inside for like a couple of years. And that was my coming out, I guess. And for me, never had to, I just came out to my mom. I never had to tell anybody else that, oh yeah, I'm a trans person. I just underwent T blockers. People were confused what's happening to me. Why am I not hitting a male puberty? And I turned 18 and then I started my hormones. And again, people were more confused that wasn't this person supposed to be a boy? And I was growing up to be a girl. And yeah, that I never had a coming out. It was just me secretly undergoing HRT, and people from my family and everyone else eventually seeing that, oops, sort of a moment. And then I just decided to move out. And now I'm in Bangalore. So that's it. That was my coming out so far.
This has made me so emotional, and I can also relate because I'm a trans man. Happened to me as well. Like there was a part in my life as well when I lost all hope in life because I'm a man and society perceived me as a woman, and it was actually very difficult. So I can relate to that. Sometimes parents can't accept their children, and then they have to leave, and it is actually very sad. When your own family, when you need them the most, they're not there for you. So
Yeah,
actually I became a little bit, yeah.
the funniest part being that right after and, uh, I started growing up into a woman and people started realizing me and my mom were entirely just cut off from all of the family relationships, relatives, and all that. So that happened.
I can understand, and it is actually very sad. That's why I always say that sex education is very important. I know, even though there's a generation gap, older people should be taught about gender identity, sexuality, because once if there's one day in their child comes out, at least they will not, leave them or disown them like that. So I can relate, and I was like, to be honest, I almost got teary eyed with your story, and yeah, you're such a powerful person. Like the way from here now you're working and you're an independent person, you're financially independent. Literally, kudos to you. You're a very strong and a very brave person for like how you have come so far with this, and I'm really really proud of you. So yeah, but this was a very heartbreaking story because the thing is, I'll still I'm being repetitive, but the thing is, families are unfortunately not there for us when we need them the most, and that's the most heartbreaking part of our life. And first we have to come out to ourselves. We have to accept our gender identity ourselves, and then we come out to others. So that itself is a very long journey, and I can relate to each part of what you said. So yeah, more power to you, more power to you, Freya.
Thank you so much.
Now let's move on to Trishala. So this is about the medical expenses. Like now, most of the transgender people, they are just, coming from their abusive families and they can't afford HRT. For instance, I want to start testosterone. So how can a transgender person claim HRT from their company's health insurance? Is that possible?
Yes, Varas. So companies are actually, so it actually depends on the insurance providers for the company, right? So if the insurance providers are aware of this and if they are sensitized, then the process is much more faster. But if companies are just starting out and they're finding inclusive partners to collaborate with for medical reasons, then it might take a little longer. But most of the companies that are reaching out to us are, open to uh, bring as much as inclusive policies and inclusive options, like how they give out maternity leave, right? So they want to also ensure that this is something that's covered for the transgender people coming into their organizations. So there's definitely a huge scope for people to explore that through their companies. Yeah.
That is actually a very great initiative because most of the time, a lot of transgender people they come just like they leave their abusive households and they start a training or they get a placement. Now, the first thing is their first thing, our priority is to get HRT to, get rid of a gender dysphoria. That is the first priority. And sometimes we can't afford it because obviously medical things are so expensive nowadays. Medical treatments are so expensive nowadays. So if this is actually a very good thing and it gets, it gets accepted by other companies as well, other corporates as well, that would be it will be a very huge help for the transgender community. And it is actually it's a very good news that many companies are taking this rule to help transgender people in their HRT and transition. So that is a very good thing, and it should be in all the companies. That's what I'm thinking. And I think there are some companies like Sutherland and all that who do this actually.
Yes,
So
yes. I think
yeah, so
even
that's
recently Misho came out saying that they're also so they also provide holidays for people who have taken the HRT surgery about one to
yes,
1.5 months. So yes, the future is positive here.
that is amazing. It's a very good news. So now let's move on to Freya. How was the work environment at HP for you? And from your perspective, what could be done to make offices more inclusive for transgender people, or what steps can we take in our offices to make it more inclusive for us transgender people?
So at HP, I would say it's awesome. Everybody's accepting, and the work is great. So it's awesome at HP. Uh, but then I would like to answer to your other question, that what could companies do to make the workplaces more inclusive? And I think the first step would be most definitely to acknowledge, right, that trans people exist, and they need support and we need to hire them, make starting a DEI initiative. Then going forward from there, I think it all adds up to insurances, transgender healthcare, and a lot of trans people go through you know depression and a lot of mental health issues that needs to be taken care of. Then there's the upskilling that needs to happen, because a lot of trans people come with no educational background at all. And even if, like, they don't have access to education, and even if they do, it's the kind of trauma and the background that they grow up in, it's really hard for them to make and utilize the most out of the education that they have the access to. So I think upskilling would be, again, one of the major things. Then, of course, there are other things that needs to be acknowledged, that uh, the first step would be insurance, and then surgery leaves, uh, things that trans people go through during HRT. I'll give you an example of my friend who started her HRT at the age of 30, and just because of that, she started facing major health complications, in terms of like feeling weak when she went on T blockers or hormones, and all of that. So companies need to acknowledge this and then make sure that like the trans employees working for them are healthy and mentally well and are also regularly upskilled. So, yeah.
Very great points raised by you, Freya. Upskilling is actually very important because, yes, most of us don't get a chance to go for higher education because obviously some of us, most of us have to run away from homes at a very young age. And yeah, this is upskilling is very important, acknowledgement. And obviously, with acknowledgement comes like we have to encourage more talk about sex education, about gender identity and sexuality. And to people, obviously acknowledgement is the most important thing. And I think another thing from another point from my side, there should be gender neutral washrooms as well, because not everyone who identifies as transgender is in the binary, right? Not everyone is in the male or female. Some are non-binary, some are beyond the gender of male and female. So there should be gender neutral washrooms as well. And gender neutrality should also be taught, that yes, there is not only male and female, there are other genders as well. So acknowledging the non-binary, other genders which are above the binary, above the gender binary of male and female, and providing gender neutral washroom and gender neutral treatments at your workplace can make it even better for also gender non-conforming transgender people or non-binary transgender people. So that is my idea for this. Now let's move on to Trishala. How does a transgender person apply for a GRS benefits in their company? For example, just like Freya mentioned, like to take a leave for HRT, for surgery. How do they do that? How does a trans person does that?
So some companies, have it in their policies itself that they'll have to give a certain number of days off for people who are going through these procedures. But if not, so as an organization, we also request the companies to be more inclusive towards these requirements from the community. But if you are employed and if you're from the community and if you're employed in other firm, then you can probably apply to this. So most people are aware of how what is the timeline it would take of going through the surgery and how many days you will need for recovery. So at least a month or a month and a half prior, if you would intimate the company and just let them know that you will not be available for this period of time. And I think for larger firms to go through the approvals and all of that will take a bit of time. But a prior intimation would help the company also understand the situation and kind of be prepared and give you what is needed for that period of time. So a prior intimation will help, and the companies are very much open to providing leads for these.
That's true. And also, we have to make sure that we are going for companies which are actually including these policies in the regime, like providing HRT in their insurance policies and giving, leaves for gender reassignment surgeries, and also how long will it take, because sometimes, example, if somebody got bottom surgery done, that takes longer recovery period, then it may take months. So they have to take that. They also have to educate themselves, like what are the procedures transgender people are going through, and what is like how long is the recovery period, right? Because most of the time what happens is, like, sometimes if I get bottom surgery done, and it will take me months to recover, and sometimes I have to be also careful of the infection and all. So there's a lot of risk. So I have to be very careful. Sometimes I have to stay at home for a very long time, so it can be for months, more than a month, more than 2 months. So the company should already educate themselves that this is how long it's going to take for this specific surgery. If it's a top surgery, it's going to take, I think, 1 month or so. But if it's bottom surgery, so they have to know the types of surgeries as well, how long it's
Yes,
going to take to recover. So that
definitely.
also they should keep in mind.
Yeah.
That
And
is my
definitely, I think the people from the community, I think they should have access to better quality of medical service as well, because many people
exactly.
are not able to afford a quality, probably a surgery or a procedure, because of which, they go through a longer period of recovery or even have more complications, right? So the more the company and the community is aware of, where they can find quality health services, I think that'll be more beneficial, and it'll be a more healthier process that way. And I'm sure companies going forward will also have a tap on, what kind of resources are available to best support the community when it comes to health. Yeah.
That is right. We also have to provide quality education, not education, sorry, quality education and upskilling. Sorry, quality healthcare, and it should be included in the policies. Like when we are saying from our insurance, we are going to provide you HRT and surgeries. We have to also do
Definitely.
back work. We have to do back research that it is coming from a where somebody is going to get a good quality healthcare, right?
Definitely.
So yeah, so also we have to do that, and also we have to educate all the company management has to educate themselves that okay, this is how long it's gonna take, because sometimes they say, oh, you're going to take 6 months, what are you going to do? They don't understand. I'm saying because it
Yes.
actually happened to me. so
Okay.
so that is
I think they'll have
also
to consult. I think they'll have to consult the community itself. So I think nobody knows
exactly.
better than you how longer it will take, and what kind of options are available. So I think these policies, more than being consulted with cisgender people, I think it's more important that the community's insights are taken in. So yes, yeah,
Yeah, and it's also, if the management or at least someone in the management of the company is a transgender person, it will make it even more easier to understand these things, because cisgender
yes,
people may not understand. That's the thing.
yes, yes, right.
All right, so let's move on to Freya. Now, one last question, Freya. What are your plans for the future, career-wise?
Um, well, I my personal plans would most definitely be being somewhere where I graduated, like the field that I graduated in. Uh, so somewhere along the lines of media, communication, marketing, and advertisement. So that's where I want the future to go, but I don't know how it looks right now. So yeah, that's my plan.
Best of luck for that from my side, and I
Thank
hope you
you.
get that, because the thing is, what happens in life, we plan something and then something else
And
happens.
totally.
Exactly, like I took graphic designing, okay, but look at me now. So yeah, it can be, sometimes life can give some very different changes which we never expected, but it's better than what we have planned. So best of luck for that.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next few questions are for Trishala. Before we move to Trishala, Freya, do you have anything else for the audience? If there are any messages for the audience or anything else for the audience?
Uh, Nothing as such. I just know that there are so many young trans people watching it, and so many people who are looking forward to, take their first steps towards transition. And I just want to wish best of luck to them. And I just want to say that things may look really difficult right now and overwhelming, but just hang on, and it's gonna be fine. That's all.
Very well said, Freya. And literally, you are amazing. You're a very amazing example of, you're a very great deal of inspiration for many young transgender people out there. I mean, coming out and then going this far and getting a placement in HP, which is one of the most biggest companies in not India, forget India, in the whole world. And you have come out and now you are independent, and all that itself is a very inspirational thing for all the young transgender people out there. So I hope everyone gets enough, everyone gets enough courage to be themselves from your story, and I know they will. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and sharing your experiences with us. Like, I am, like, we all are so, honored to know this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so next few questions are for Trishala. Now, I know we have discussed this while we were talking, but I want to know in detail about these things. So, what are the most transgender friendly companies in India in 2022 and 2023, according to you, and why?
So one is ANZ Bank, and then we have Wells Fargo, we have JP Morgan, and of course HP. So some of the reasons behind them being, more some of the best, put down as the best companies that are inclusive is because they've partnered a lot with us the last year, and so we were able to do a lot more because the intent was coming directly from the company. So they wanted to do, they wanted to constantly engage with us in whether it's upskilling or whether it's hiring, right? So regardless of how longer the process took, even in terms, so even Deloitte is one company which actually has come up with a program where they're supporting transgender people to study as well as do an internship. So they actually financially take up the responsibility for them to support them in this education, and while they're educating themselves, they're also sustaining themselves. So all of these companies have gone above and beyond, right from revising their policies to some of them also have made infrastructural changes, like you mentioned, gender neutral restrooms as well. So according to us, these companies have really been up to the mark, and they've done their best to create an inclusive workspaces. So yeah, that would be my uh, handful of companies. Yeah.
That is a very good thing, and I think we should also add Sutherland, because
Yes.
it has involved a lot of, it has actually given jobs and trainings to a lot of transgender people, and I think I know Sutherland very well, and I think some of my friends have also gotten a job in Sutherland, and it actually supports transgender people in HRT, in surgeries, and also not only just doing it for the
Mhm.
sake of doing it, but providing proper healthcare, make sure they get proper healthcare.
Definitely.
So,
And
just
I'm
a
sure there's
second.
more coming to them.
My one other question is, mostly multinational companies that work with Perifery are there Indian companies as well? Indian companies.
Definitely, definitely. It's not just the MNCs. We have a lot of startups as well who are reaching out. And so, actually, larger firms take more time to kind of sensitize and create a culture around this, whereas smaller companies that are, that are around us and that have originated in India itself, uh, they take a lot more effort and to create a culture when the company is beginning itself, right? So when you're starting, you're small, and it's easier for you to create an inclusive culture so you can take it forward. But yes, we're working with a lot of companies that are just from India as well, not just MNCs.
That is amazing. And now it's also happening in India. It's a great deal of change, because back in the day it
Yes.
was like so different. Like, I'll tell you my experience. When I tried to, I was in Rajasthan, right? I tried to get my first job. I was always declined. Actually, I have to introduce myself as a girl. I can't introduce myself as a man, and it was like so difficult back in the day. And now everything is so evolving, and even in India itself, the corporates are changing their policies and are evolving and being more inclusive. That really shows how far we have come. And
Definitely.
it is so empowering to see that. And I'm really happy with whatever the changes are going in India and all the corporates, because that is really important for us. So that is really
I think in
important.
the last I mean, ever since we started out, also we've seen a lot of companies, more companies come by, and it's been a huge change in the last 5 years itself. So I think it's just onwards and upwards from now.
Exactly. And yeah, I was actually talking, I got distracted. So I was talking about Sutherland. So many of my friends who are transgender people, we actually joined this training program by Sutherland. And it was also helping, like upskilling other transgender people who may not have gotten a degree. And many of them got placements. So I think Sutherland is one, and I think Amazon is also there, because it's also providing a lot of placements to transgender people. People belong from the transgender community, and I think there are some Tata groups as well. I think Tata is also doing the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Glad to know that.
So okay, let's move on to our next question. Were you planning to say something? I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead. No problem.
Oh, okay. So let's move on to our next question. How is Revive and Trans in different from Garima Greh?
Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, we're purely a training. So it's more, the setup is more of a training center setup. So, of course, Garima Glass have a larger and a wider objective to fulfill. So at Perifery, at this point of time, we don't have the right resources to support people who reaching out to us in distress. Although we try and direct them, if people do reach out to us, we try and direct them to organizations that are equipped to handle this. But at the moment, we are not in the capacity to handle anybody coming in with such as a grievance or from a difficult situation. So this functions very much, Transin functions very much as a residential training setup. So yeah, so I think that is one clear difference that we have. And also our objectives are slightly different. So although we focus on upskilling and uh, providing employment opportunities, um, we are limited to that at this point of time. So even with our corporate partners, we do have a very focused objective that we are here to fulfill. So yeah, that is one difference that we have from Garimaga. So, and we are also still a small organization, so we may not have, may not be able to contribute in that level as such. But yes.
That is really great. I mean, even though, however, it is difficult to manage, you're still trying to get everything arranged. Again, it's everything is so well planned or well thought of about everything, and that is, all companies, that is something not only Perifery should do, but all the corporates should do, thinking about every single thing.
So, if in case somebody reaches out to us in an emergency, we do try and provide them as much as possible, as much
Mhm.
support as possible. And we also, if they're doing fine, we also encourage them to be a part of our training program as well. So we
That is
have
great.
done that to two people, I think, in the past, and and they've also have successfully attended training programs and also landed up with jobs. That has kind of improved the situation, but we are still much, we have a long way to go when it comes to that. Yeah.
Seriously, kudos to Perifery. Like, how you are making everything arranged and getting everything arranged and all. It takes a lot of effort for this, and the team is working very well for this. Okay, so now let's move on to our next question. What are the trainings you are providing at the moment for transgender people, and how does the recruitment procedure work? Like in detail, how does the recruitment procedure work?
Okay. So the moment a candidate reaches out to us, so we have a process of screening them, and we do our own documentation and verify or not they identify themselves as a transgender person. And after which, after we have gone through their resumes, we kind of identify where they can add value to, or based on their skill set, what kind of a position they can apply for as well. And we try and do a mapping. We do a one-on-one mapping with our clients, and we try to facilitate the procedure from there on. But we give a lot of importance to documentation, which is a crucial step for our entire recruitment process itself. And so many recruitment so the entire process of recruitment can be quite longer as well. So in order to utilize that time, we put them through this training program. We've made it a mandate now, because it helps us understand the community better, and for them to also develop a trust, and for us to develop a trust with them. And also along the training, it gives us an opportunity to understand an individual better, and where which area they can actually be employed with. So sometimes we look at a resume, and then the kind of kind of skill set they put forward, and the kind of persistence, or the kind of efforts that they've taken while they're in the team, that can actually kind of boost up their qualification, and that kind of gives us a larger area to look at, where this person can also be placed in three other industries, right? So it gives us more option to help the person get more employable as well. So our training program actually focuses a lot. It's a very generic training program. It's just an effort to give a little bit of confidence, and um, create an environment where there also there's a lot of acceptance amongst the community. So since training programs have our bunch has only transgender people here, and for many of them, it's the first time for them to actually meet so many people from their community. So we're also in a way creating a culture within the community where they're able to accept each other and learn about each other's stories, which acts as a huge inspiration for each other as well, to understand people coming from different backgrounds, that there's a lot of diversity amongst themselves. So only if they understand that, they will understand, when they go back to workspaces, there is also going to be diversity there, and change happens gradually. So that's what we're trying to do with our training and recruitment as well. So creating a process that's more sustainable going forward.
The screening method is something which is like very good. I mean, it really provides an insight that, like, what are the needs of a transgender person before applying? What do they actually need? And this is something which is really mandatory, and it really makes arrangements for everything whatever the person needs. And also it's also a better way to know a person who's ready to apply.
So we're
So
also planning to partner with other e-learning platforms, or any uh, platforms that give out certifications. So while they do this training, they can also attend those certifications and kind of put that skills on their resumes as well. So just increasing their employability a little bit for the time they're in the training period. So that is something that's an ongoing effort right now. We're trying to probably implement that for the upcoming batches as well.
that is actually a very good idea, because if we get to partner with other educational institutions and other educational learning programs, we can have more variety in the trainings we have to offer, and
Definitely.
it'll be more accessible to everyone, even
Yes.
online. So that
Yes.
is actually a very great step for this. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Um, Yeah. Now this has already been discussed, but we are going to discuss this in detail. Okay. So most of the time, transgender people have to run away, like myself. We have to run away from homes at a very young age, due to which most of the time graduation or getting a degree is not that possible. And how much education does a transgender person need to apply? Because the thing is, we run away from home at a very young age, due to which either, like, as Freya mentioned previously, it can be a little bit difficult to finish higher education in this situation. So how much education qualification does one need to get a training or to get a placement?
So that's a very important question. Thanks for asking that. So as an organization, we don't have any limitation as to only if you've completed certain qualification, you can reach out to us. No, even if you've just dropped out from school, or even if you already have 5 to 10 years of experience. So we are looking out for anybody who has that interest and drive to learn and be stand on their own feet and be more sustainable. Uh, so over here, what we are trying to do is, like I mentioned, Deloitte is one company that supports, that are very open to supporting the community people who have not had the chance to finish their education. So, so again, while as an opportunity to sustain themselves while they complete these education, the courses or whatever, they also provide a basic internship through which you get stipend to sustain yourself for the period of education, right? So there are companies that are open to skilling them in certain areas, and then employing them in the same departments. So we've in the past also done focused group trainings, partnering with corporates, where corporates would give us a curriculum to go over, and we train them. So for example, we had a batch a month ago where we had a 3 month long batch where we trained around 20 22 people in tech and programming skills. And so this was done in partnership with Wells Fargo, and they are looking to hire from this cohort of 20 22 people itself. So their interview process is going on right now, and from once they are into the company, they are further put into some skilling programs where they can upskill from whichever level they are on. So a lot of companies are opening up a platform where they're assisting people who have not completed education to pursue it with financial assistance. So this is one initiative that the companies are also bringing up. So and the companies also don't have a restriction when it comes to we some companies do have a requirement as to the graduation needs to be complete, but most of them are aware and they are understandable, and they are willing to take that effort to skill and educate them and then employ them. So so yeah, it's a very progressive step that the companies and the society as such is also looking at. So yes, I don't think the community needs to be worried about it going forward, because there is an option for everyone.
That is so good, because most of the time it happens if you go for other professional jobs or any other job like basics, how to contact with Ferry. So this is a question which everyone is asking. We'll discuss this at the end of the live, and you can ask your own queries at the end of the live. So we will discuss all that. So what I was saying that getting any job, like any professional job these days, it was like first it was very difficult, because we have to go for a degree. They are going to see your degree, and even in these days, it's like there's so much of competition, to get a job. And like sometimes there is education plays a major role, because if you don't have a degree these days, or you don't have any skill, like if you haven't gone for any upskilling program, it gets very difficult to find a job. And as a transgender person, when you're getting these upskilling by other companies and then getting a placement, it's it's actually huge. As you said, it's a very progressive way, it's a very progressive step to recruit transgender people. and that's actually a very good thing. So any of you young trans people out there who want to, who want to study, who haven't finished their further education and would love to go for, you would love to, go for a placement, you want a placement, you can, either apply for Perifery's Revive program, or you can also go to other companies which have been mentioned by Trishala, and you can actually get a training and then you can get a placement. Were you planning to say something, Trishala?
No, Paras, just adding to what you said as well. So don't hesitate to, reach out, just reach out to organizations, or um, just don't hesitate yourself because you're not able to, complete your education. Move forward, keep going forward, and, there's always, like I mentioned, there's always something for everyone. And do reach out to us if you're finding it difficult, and we'll try and assist you the best we can. So that's about it.
That is a very good point. Now, moving on to the next question. If a transgender person moves out to escape their abusive family or the family who doesn't accept them, and they want to join a training program by Perifery, will there be temporary accommodation provided until they get their placement? Because that transgender person right now is coming for training and they have nowhere to go. So, will there be temporary accommodation provided till they get a placement, a permanent placement in a company?
Yes, we have offered placement. I mean, accommodation for people who are still, struggling to find a place to go. And so, in the past, we have provided accommodation. And sometimes, what happens is people get employed, and then they would, try and request us to stay for a while until they get their first month's salary, and then they would, after that, they can sustain themselves. So to an extent we do support them, and also depending on our availability on like the infrastructural, uh, so if we have rooms available, we do give opportunity for people to stay, but only if they are experiencing a very distressed situation and there's actually no other option, we do that. Because we also have a fair share of other people who are going through challenges, but unfortunately we're not able to provide that space for everyone. But to the one who's most in need, we do try and do our best as well. So yes, we can do as much as we have the resources at that point of time. We definitely are open to help.
Another question connected to this. So, if accommodation is there, okay, I'm asking at a personal level. If, for instance, I'm putting myself into the shoes of a trans person who is just coming for accommodation, where will the accommodation place be, and where is actually it will be located, and will it be like where is the periphery office or something like that? Like, what's the location?
Okay, so one major challenge that actually we face while running these programs itself is to find properties that are trans inclusive. And so we've had the luck of partnering with one of the property owners, and we've been able to successfully run our training programs for a year and a year and a half. But it has been very difficult for us to find spaces that are inclusive and accepting of the community itself. And also because as training, our entire process involves, we have needs in terms of infrastructure, right? So if, in order to conduct a training, we will need a training space. And for accommodation, again, we will need rooms for people who are coming in. And because it's a repetitive process, people keep coming batch after batch. We need to ensure that we have accommodation for people reaching early or reaching late, right? So it has been very challenging, but right now we've partnered with an association called Indian Social Institute, where we've been able to get, there's a lot of acceptance for the community, and there's also really good facilities that we're able to provide for the trainees in the community. So infrastructure is a huge challenge we are facing till date as well. and that is something that we are constantly trying to look out for solutions for. So that is definitely a challenge.
First of all, like, even though, regardless of the hurdles you're facing with the, so with the infrastructure, be it with anything, you still keep on trying. That is a very good thing. And like, really, you are a very, not only that, like the way you're going with everything is like an inspiration to all, right? No matter how the challenges are going, you are able to uh, you know arrange everything. But yes, infrastructure is something which should be, it's very important. It should be kept in mind, because obviously, like 90% of transgender people who are opting for a training or a job, they have to find a place to live. That's really important. So,
Yes,
because they are running away from their families, right? So infrastructure is something which is really mandatory. And the way you're handling it, the way Perifery is handling it, is very good actually. And kudos to you, and best of luck for, I hope you get more partnership for infrastructure and everything, and I hope it meets all the requirements.
thank you, Paris. We hope so too.
So now, okay, now the most asked question by everyone in this chat, in this live, everyone joining this live: how does one reach out to you?
Okay. So if you go to our website, there will be a contact us option, or I can also mention it here. It's You can reach out. You can email us at connect@perifery.com. So that's the email ID where you can reach out to us, and our team will get in touch with you for whatever you're looking for. And please feel free to go explore our websites, and you can know a little more about what I've been saying the last 1 hour. So you'll get a little more idea and a little more context to what we've been doing as well. Um, and also, we also have create impact reports and all the programs that we conduct. So it'll give you a little more insight as to how we are sustaining and uh, how much of an impact our organization has been able to create. And so yeah, and I think I should also thank the community in a way that they are the ones who brought us so far, and it really is the community that keeps us going. Their trust in us is something that we value the most. So please feel free to go explore our website. And yes, as um, Bloom had mentioned in the chat, it's connected@periphery.com.
So, anyone, all the young transgender people out there, if you want any assistance in getting a training, in getting even a placement, or getting assistance in a place to reside in, or anything like that, please don't hesitate to contact Perifery. Don't worry about how much you have finished your education. That doesn't matter. You will get skills for that. You'll get training for that, and you will soon get a placement. So don't worry. There is a Bloom has mentioned the website. So don't hesitate to reach out to Perifery for all your issues and queries anytime. And Perifery is also on Instagram. You can look for them. It's Periferry. You can look for that. It's on Instagram as well. It's on YouTube. It's on other social media platforms as well. So you can reach out to them from anywhere. It's fully accessible. You can also, so this that's it. And I think one last question. It's a very silly question. Okay, can cisgender people also apply, or this is only for trans people? I mean, I just got this random question though.
No, I'm sorry, it's only for the transgender people.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. These were the questions.
Paras,
And
I have a
anyone?
few questions. Can I ask?
Yes,
Just a
please
short
go ahead.
question. Okay, Trishula, it was really informative, all your answers. I have a few questions. One is, you mentioned about Doolittle, Deloitte. educational support internship. Can you tell us a bit more about it? How does it work?
So I do have, I may not share the entire information though,
Hmm.
but they are in a capacity to support individuals who have not completed their education. And financially also they would take up the cost for covering, if you're doing a certain course, then they would take up the financial cost of that. And in the meantime, they also provide internships for you to sustain while you complete the course or the education.
Okay, that's nice. And again, I'm coming to the employer. When someone is go- I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Take your time.
So when someone is going for SRS, how do you think one should uh, bring it up to the employer? How much time earlier should the preparation should they prepare the employer to to leading to this SRS?
So, if there's no policy already in place at the company, then I think at least a 2 months prior information would be helpful for them, to also take it forward for approvals and all of that. So that's the estimated amount of time. That's a good enough amount of time to keep them intimated.
Okay. And usually in these companies, how do you know generally how much holidays do people get for their surgeries?
I think anywhere about 1 to 1.5 months is what I've heard. But it does differ with each company. I think 40 days would be something that's considered generally.
Okay, that's good to know. And you also mentioned about some mm, companies use insurance companies that cover trans health. So, do you know any specific insurance companies that are used that covers trans health?
Not at the moment. I'm not personally aware of specific insurance agencies, but some companies have partnered with insurance providers that are more aware and they're more sensitized. But personally, at this point of time, I'm not aware of any particular agency as such.
Ah, okay. Thank you very much. Those were my questions. Please carry on, Faris.
Thank you.
I think I'm done with my set of questions. Thank you so much, Nesura ma'am, for asking your questions. They were very informative. And now I would like to move to the audience. What are the questions they have? Don't hesitate to, ask any questions you want. And we are open to all the questions from the audience.
I think majority of the questions we've already answered. One of the most asked question was how to contact Periphery. We have answered that. And one more thing was what is the procedure to apply to Periphery, and I think we have also answered that. So, and let me just quickly go through.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's one question. I've completed engineering in 2012. After that, I've been working in IT sector for 2 years. Then I converted as transgender. I have a gap through my professional. Are there any recruitment for me?
Yes, I believe it's Akshay.
Yeah.
Yes, Akshay, it's not an issue. Please feel free to reach out to us. We have had people in the past with a gap in their professional career. It's Please feel free to reach out to us. We can help you. We can help with assisting you further.
Okay. All right. I think that was it.
All right. So, shall we wind this up?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Freya and Trishala, for uh, helping us with all this information. Uh, I'm sure the community has learned a lot today. Thank you very much.
And also, huge thank you to Feminism in India and Perifery, who are our streaming partners. And thank you so much. And if you want to know about HRT surgery and any questions you have for transition, please don't feel please feel free to follow Transgender India on Instagram. We are also on YouTube, so you can just look up for Transgender India, and you can find whatever questions you have about transition. So there's, I think, one question: do you know any insurance that covers trans health like Max or Star, etc.? So
Okay,
what is the answer?
I think there's someone who's mentioning Edelweiss. Okay, thank you very much. I think we'll end the call here. Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
So, thank you so much and have a lovely evening ahead.
Thank you.